Hey, it's your baby girl, Dana Lorraine. And it's for as long as I can remember, I've always used fashion to express myself. So, little Dana, I don't know why at a very young age I was so mature for my age. I remember going to the mall with my grandmother and my sister, and she used to give me free range to go, shop, because my grandmother is a shopper just like me. Tourist and a Virgo in the mall, tearing it down. So we used to run through Macy's, me and my sister, looking at all the rags, trying to find what we wanted to wear. And I remember my grandmother used to always put her little influence over everything we picked up. Either it was a yes or a no, but the one thing I respected about my grandmother is she always let me pick out my clothes. She never, if she didn't like it, she did not buy it. What she would do is she would buy it. This is so funny. And she'd be like, okay, now you gotta model it when we get home for grandpa. And I'm like, okay. And it's like it had to pass a test. My grandfather never went to the mall with us, obviously. He ain't got time for all that. But he used to be sitting at home and we used to bring bags of Macy's clothes in the house, right? My sister was always okay. She never had to really model anything because my sister was always a tomboy. She always bought really baggy clothes. Her disposition was kind of wearing all black and like, it was just, me and my sister had completely different styles, right? But me, I'm trying to tell y'all, even in 6th grade, I remember picking out more mature, more fitted, and more, I don't want to say revealing, but I always liked stuff that was low cut. And this is like, it really enhanced towards 8th grade, right before I went into high school. So I used to bring the bags upstairs and my grandma was like, go ahead. And I used to go into my room, right? I used to put on my clothes perfectly. And I'll come into my grandparents' room. They had those big 2 doors that you had to open. They had the master. And it was this is so ridiculous, but it was such a part of my childhood. I used to strut in there with my outfit because I had my hair longer back in the day, obviously. I used to strut in there, do a model's walk, flip my hair around and pose. And this is, you would have thought this was what's that show with Tyra Banks when she was trying to pick models, top model, right? My grandma used to be laying across the king size California bed they got, just like this, not making a noise. She already knew I bought the stuff. She just wanted to see me pull it off. My grandfather used to be sitting in this big recliner chair like this, right? He'll be watching TV at first, and I'll come in and he'll look, and he'd either give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a cut the neck. Cut the neck meant you can't wear that outside.
Stop it. Get some help.
Whoo! Thumbs up mean I did a good job. Thumbs down mean it ain't working. Whatever's going on, it could work, but it ain't working. It ain't my favorite, but I'm gonna let it go. But that neck cut meant you couldn't wear it out the house, right? So when he used to do the neck cut, I used to close the door. I never reacted in the room, which is so childish. I used to close the door and sometimes I just throw my hands up when he did the neck cut because I'm like, damn, I can't even wear this outside. Now I gotta return it to Macy's next week when we go shopping. We used to go shopping all the time, so that was our routine. And from there, I started to understand what I could get away with and what I couldn't. Like, even though I expressed myself through fashion, it was just certain stuff that wasn't gonna be had in the Garnes house. So I used to go to school sometimes because I was a little rebellious. This did used to happen. Where those cut neck outfits, sometimes I would try to pull them off, right? In high school, I would try to pull them off because, in high school, you think you're grown. And the junior year of high school, I come to school and maybe I have one of those cut neck shirts on or something. One that my grandpa was like, don't even play. And, everybody in school would be like, you know what I mean? Like, it was never, and it's not even what you think. It wasn't no crazy top. Like, it wasn't even, my stomach wasn't even out. It was just more something like this, right? Like, a little bit of my cleavage would be out, and it would be more fitted. And one time I did wear this all white lace outfit. This is so funny to run back on camera, because now as a grown woman, I can do what I please, right? But back then, I remember coming to school. I remember that outfit so much. And I don't even think my grandpa got the chance to like when I got a little older and I was like a junior in high school, he didn't always review all my outfits. Some of my outfits I used to just go shopping with my girlfriends and I would buy and I would wear. So I remember one time I had this all white lace outfit on, right? And it sounds crazy, but it wasn't as crazy as you think it was, because I always wore something. I wore something completely underneath the outfit, so you didn't see my skin at all. But it was just such a mature lounge outfit. It was just such a mature outfit, but I put it in a way where nothing was revealing. That's one thing about me. Like, I don't necessarily I like things to fit, and I like to have a little bit of cleavage, but I'm not necessarily somebody that likes to have my skin all out in the open. Like, I don't know how to do it's a little different, not judging anybody that does. So I remember wearing it to high school. I was in junior year, and everybody was like, okay, you did that, right? You did that. And I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was he was a Scorpio, so he was with it. He was like, yeah, that's my girl, I wish somebody would. He completely embraced my style. Of course he did. I mean, think about it. He's a young man in high school walking around with this gorgeous young lady that dresses like mature but kind of seductive. Like, it was a lot of different things working. So he was always boastful. He was like, yeah, y'all, that's mine. Lil' mama mine. What y'all gonna do about it? He never was one of those boyfriends. It's like, you can't wear that. He was completely secure in himself, and he really loved the way I expressed myself through fashion. And thinking back to that time to now, I just think about how long the evolution of fashion has been for me, like how I express myself through it. So a lot of you know, this is all gonna add up, of course, into the story, but a lot of you know that I do yoga, right? And yoga for me is an expression of self. It's an expression of my mental, my physical, my state of being. When I practice yoga, I feel it like I'm one, right? And I share that journey on my Instagram. And I'm used to men coming for me in a salacious way. Like, it's kind of like, I've always been comfortable in my own skin, and I'm not willing to change who I am for anybody. So when men lean into how I present myself, or they lean into my yoga, and that expression is a way to kind of say they're interested, I don't take it the wrong way. I'm like, I try me too. I'm comfortable in my skin. Everybody likes authenticity, and men they like the outer appearance. They like attraction, right? So recently, it was this young man that was trying to court me. He's a Gemini, right? And I remember not really understanding why he was so interested in me, because he had been persistent for so long. Not interested. I'm not understanding, because he, to me, just feels like one of those people that he likes what he sees, but he doesn't have any depth behind really trying to get to know me. And he asked me out, and he's best friends with one of my close best friends. And I'm telling him, hey, I know you got the best friend segue in, but I'm gonna let you know right now, we're probably not compatible, babe. I just don't see it. I can almost sense it. And he's just like, no, I really want a chance to get to know you. And I'm like, you sure? And he's just like, yeah. I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should just, be the friend of my best friend, and I'll be cool with you in that way. I really don't see us dating. But he's like, I know, this is serious business to me. So I'm like, okay, bet. So I start asking him questions just to try to get a better understanding of why he thinks this is a good pursuit for him. Me, of course. And he's just like, oh, well, I love that you're business orientated. I love that, you carry yourself in a very nice way. And he's saying all these things, right? They sound a little generic. Nothing sounds like it's authentic. So I asked him, a very forward question. I'm like, how do you feel about the way that I present myself to the world? Because a part of my art is very important to me. How I come on camera, how I speak, how I put everything together. This is who I am. This is not gonna change, babe. You sure? And the reason why I shouldn't have to ask men this, but I asked him in particular because I felt like he's in over his head, if that makes any sense. So he answers the question by saying, oh yeah, I love the way you present yourself. I'm like, so he's like, I like your Instagram and stuff. It's good. You look nice, but at the same time, if you were to be my girl, a lot of that would have to tone down. And I'm like, a lot of what would have to tone down? And he's like, well, a lot of like, you know, the way that you, you know, cause sometimes it's a little much. I'm like, what's a little much? And he's just like, you know, like, we were FaceTiming, so he screen shares. This is so crazy. And he pulls up my Instagram. He's like, you know, all I see is, you know, it's ass and titties. Like, I was like, and I probably should have preferenced this video and said, this video is rah-rah. So get used to that kind of language. He's just like, yeah, so like all this, like, what's all this? Like, I couldn't show this to my mama. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was taken back when he said that. He was like, yeah, because like, this is too much. Like, you would just have to tone this down. You know, if I was your man, I'm not trying to control you, but you'd have to tone that down a little bit for me. I'm like, tone down my cleavage? Or he's like, I mean, you got ass pictures on there too. Like, I'm like, but I'm literally just sitting, or I'm doing a yoga pose. And he's like, yeah, but you know what you're doing, so. And I was like, oh, so you don't really approve of how I present myself or how I dress. You actually wouldn't like me to do that if I was to become your girlfriend, hypothetically. And he's like, no, not that you couldn't do it. You would just have to tone it down a little bit. And I'm like, because your mama and you would disapprove? And he's just like, well, my mom, you know, like, she a little bit more like, you know, traditional, so she might not, you know, understand it. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And he gets quiet. And I'm like, so this is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have a problem with him having his preference, right? Somebody saying like, I don't want to be with somebody that, or I would have to talk to somebody that is not so expressive in this type of way, where they have a little bit too much out for me, or, you know, because I'm telling him like a lot of that is really me posing. And he's like, yeah, but I'm like, have you ever tried to get to know me at all to figure out, you know, why I do the things that I do as far as yoga or fashion? And he just gets quiet and he's like, I mean, because you trying to attract male attention. I'm like, so with that being said, you're trying to court somebody that doesn't dress a way that you feel is presentable enough for you. You're trying to court somebody that is seeking the male gaze constantly, so you're probably equating that to some kind of disloyalty or some type of, you know, lack of self-esteem. I'm just listening to what he's saying and I'm like, this is not really adding up to me. Like, why? This is why I said, why would you choose it's so many women out here that are not doing these yoga poses, that don't have a little bit of cleavage, that are covered up, buttoned down. Like, what are you going for? Your mama wouldn't have no problems if you chose another type of girl, right? Because your mom's opinion matters, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, the people you love can have some insight on who you choose, but ultimately, she has a lot of what you choose. Like, she has a lot of thoughts on that, and that's okay. But I'm like, why would you make it so hard for yourself? It seems like we're not very compatible. And he's like, well, I'm like, because you think what's going to happen is I'm going to get with you and start maneuvering myself in a certain way to make you happy, right? He's like, well, I mean, I'm like, and I could just find a man that actually thoroughly approves of my authentic self, right? Somebody whose mama would really love me the way I am, and a man that really respects how I look and doesn't need me to change anything, right? And he gets quiet and he's just like, yeah, but child. So I got to give y'all the end to this story in a part 2 because it's so long-winded. I had to open this way though because the unfolding of this is something else. So stay tuned. I'm gonna get y'all part 2 in the next one. I love y'all. Hate to leave y'all on the suspense, but I got a lot of stuff to do today. But we'll chat. Peace.